Good morning, everybody. June 2nd. Welcome to the IGEL Weekly Podcast, episode 78. It's funny how the numbers keep going up every time we do these things. Approaching on 100, and we have to do something super special for episode 100. For those of you who are brave enough to watch our YouTube version of this podcast, you can see I'm not in cold Nova Scotia today. I'm in sunny Toronto with Moin, the global CTO of XenTegra. Moin, want to take a second to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Barry. At least Barry taking this trip to travel when there is a fire and a lot of things that is happening in Halifax. So really appreciate you running away from the fire, leaving your family.
My wife doesn't.
No, appreciate it. Thank you for doing this. So I'm Moin and I'm Chief Technology Officer for XenTegra. In my role, I'm responsible for emerging technology and supporting overall vendor and OEMs who can contribute to end-user compute. And IGEL is one of the key pillars to this. So excited to be part of this conversation today.
And another new face on the call is our good friend Indrajeet, all the way from even sunnier India, I bet. I bet it's nice and warm over there, Indrajeet.
Hey, Barry, thanks. I'll quickly introduce myself. I'm Indrajeet Ghorpade. I'm working as Director Solution Engineering in India. So my part is like to work with the customers, educate them on the technology, introduce them new technologies, and wherever they are facing any challenges, help them resolving those challenges, all those pain points and all that.
And you notice I was very purposeful about not trying to pronounce your last name.
It's very difficult to pronounce.
Yeah, I could barely pronounce Seb's, never mind yours.
That's what I just wanted to say. Just try to say my name, and that's already tough enough, to be honest. I have so many different versions, so I don't mind. You can call me whatever you like.
I like Seb, single syllable, easy to remember.
Yeah.
Instead of never mind the German French influence. So in terms of topic today, for a little bit behind the scenes baseball, we don't do a ton of preparation for these podcasts on purpose. We like to keep the conversation, kind of fluid, live, dynamic. So Seb and I exchanged some Slack messages yesterday. I said, Seb, what do you want to talk about? And it came back with a one-liner. So that's our topic for today. And as part of his one-liner, he said, we want to talk about IGEL Fight Club. And so I don't know what IGEL Fight Club is, but I want to talk about it. So let's get into it. So over to you, Seb. Let's hear it.
So thank you very much for introducing a one-liner topic for today. So we had an interesting week last week. So for those of you who are not knowing IGEL for a long time, IGEL is a mix of a US and German company. And for the German part of our company, we are based mostly in Augsburg and in Bremen. Augsburg is, let's say, near to Munich in Bavaria. And that's where our development, our product management, most part of our support, quality assurance, and all the other guys who are taking care of our product from a dev perspective are sitting. And last week was a little bit tough because we combined two events with each other. The first one is the IGEL Fight Club, which is an internal technology and technical, it's really called this way, a technical workshop, which I'm organizing since 5 years, more or less, where the German-speaking part of pre-sales, advanced services, support are coming together, more or less in one room. Now, due to cost and traveling costs, we're trying to keep it hybrid, but we are exchanging tech stuff. So we're talking about OS 12, how to tweak, how to go to command line. We are getting people from dev teaching us how to use our upcoming SDK and all that stuff. And we combine that with a second topic, which is the SNF days. So SNF days, you will never heard about that. Maybe via LinkedIn, if you saw some posts from IGEL people, is the strategy and focus days. That's a pure Augsburg-driven event where we were delighted to be invited, where our dev guys, our product management are really talking about the strategy for the next years, about what the product should fulfill in the next year, in 2 years, on a 3-year or 5-year plan. And that's where, I cannot talk too much about what we discussed, but I can give you some teaser about what we looked at and which kind of discussion we had. And that was a great time. That was the reason I said, hey, why not talking about that today?
Okay, so let's start with some of the teasers. You don't have to go too deep, but at super high level. Maybe some bullet points we can talk about.
Sure. So for those of you who already attended the disruptive event in Nashville and in Munich. You probably have seen the IGEL OS 12 demo, which was delivered by our Matthias CTO, Jet Aris, and Simon Townsend. And you might have seen some screenshots from a new workspace that we're delivering at the moment in our lab. And that means that what you're seeing on IGEL OS since 10 years, maybe, yeah, I guess 10 to 15 years, is a window manager which is called XFCE. You don't have to remember that name. It's what I call, for those of you who attended the disrupt event in Nashville, I had a session on how to tweak that window manager. It's pretty German, it's great, it's functional, but it doesn't have a lot of fun, so to say. And that's where we are changing a little bit our mindset, and we are changing that window manager. I will not tell you the name, but I can tell you that I looked at the window manager for a long, long time now. The new one that we're integrating, and it delivers a way better feeling to the end user. Because I mean, even if our operating system is supposed to be an Edge OS connecting to cloud services, the user partially have still in contact with the local operating system, and he has to configure his display, his sound output, default input and output devices, his Bluetooth devices. So the time where we were thin client vendor operating system is a long, long time ago. Now we are really a full-blown operating system. That's where we have to listen to the market, listen to you, our users, and make things better. And I guess the display manager is a topic that we can cover 10 times and we'll still find no real good use case for that tool, right? Barry, I think you have the same experience.
Yeah, so let me just ask a clarification question. That when you say, I missed your session in Nashville, I apologize for that. It sounded like it was a good one. But is Windows Manager, you're referring to the overall UI of the operating system, like the start button, like the way the application is displayed, the way you would authenticate to, a Citrix or Horizon?
That's exactly correct.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to be Mr. Bad Guy here. Why wasn't that part of 12 at initial launch? I'm guessing it was dev cycles.
Exactly. So to be clear, time and prioritization. We focused mostly on the application and firmware. I mean, not firmware, that is not on the term anymore, but the base OS deployment on the new web UMS, and we had to backlog some stuff. We said if we integrate it to the same time, it will kill our back. That's the reason why I said, okay, we start with the XFCE because we know it's working, we know how to configure it. But in parallel, since months, to be honest, maybe a year, we are already investigating in other directions. Because just a simple thing, transparency, right? So you have a user and you have a desktop, and if you open a window, you would like to have a kind of transparency like you have on Mac OS or Windows. Not possible in that version of the window manager that we have at the moment. It will be in the future. So all the taskbar items, which are stuck since years in the way how they're behaving, will change. And even the desktop, how the icons will be placed on the desktop will change. I promise it will be mind-blowing.
Okay, so you're going to blow our mind when? Is this 6 months? Is it 12 months? I'm not going to, no, you don't have to give me any inside information, but is this something we're going to see this calendar year or is it next year?
I would call it on midterm. I cannot give you a real date, but it's not a 3 to 4 year plan. It's really a midterm. So not short term, but I would say midterm. Okay,
that could be a big deal because I wouldn't say it's a complaint I hear regularly from customers, but IGEL OS does have a certain look and feel that could use a fresh coat of paint. That's the nice way to put it.
That's really diplomatic approach to say it. Yeah, I agree.
Indrajeet, just a question for you. What are you hearing from your customers on the overall look and feel of IGEL? Does it need that fresh lick of paint or a little overhaul?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, IGEL OS, like if I compare with the other regions where IGEL is reselling the product, India is a little new region, right? But there are some global customers, they're already using IGEL, and it is not like a small quantity, they're using in large quantity, and like they are actually proficiently using it. But and many of the current customers, they are asking more on, right now it's a full kind of a OS, it's a full-fledged OS, right? And there are a lot of things, a lot of back-end tasks need to perform, right? Maybe the policy creation and assignment of those policies and all, right? And for every new application or every new setting, right, you have to have those policies in place and all. So they want some kind of a a flexible approach for it. And I think at some extent, IGEL OS 12 solves those problems, right? With where we can have a centralized console from where kind of an app store, right? From where we can at least enable that app or and then we can use it for the endpoint or so that is again that is the advantage, and which will actually make a difference, because then we'll definitely see a lot of new customers adding in India.
Right. Okay. Just to follow up on that, I know this customization is going to make some of the local SEs very, very happy, because I know as part of the demos we deliver and we present is that we almost skin IGEL OS to look like Windows, so the adoption is a little higher. And if we can, modernize that UI, so we don't have to put in that effort to make it look and feel like Windows, that's a win, right? The adoption rate goes through the roof really, really quickly when it's easy to visually digest, for lack of a better word. So that's a good one, Seb, to come out of your sessions. What else kind of high level came out?
So you mean from the SNF days, right? Last week?
Strategy and focus days, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you called it?
Yeah, exactly. Strategy and focus days. So coming back to our beloved topic, configuration of local devices, and give the ability to the user to customize his experience with the local operating system. For the moment, for years, we focused on let's connect to Citrix, AVD, RDP, Horizon, etc. And the local operating system was a little bit behind. So we had an appliance mode, which everything was splitted down. You just had one connection, no interactivity with the local operating system. That's changing. That's the reason why we are planning to revisit our local configuration approach. So for the listeners who are listening to the podcast and are maybe a little bit new to IGEL, for the moment you're creating OS 11 profiles or configurations on OS 12 that you're deploying to your endpoint, and you are pre-configuring stuff for your end user. But since we are not working from the office anymore statically, but moving from our home office to a hotel to the office again, things changes. We're speaking about the Wi-Fi configuration method in IGEL is a nightmare, because the user has a kind of a window which is popping up and he can enter a path trace, but he's not really sure what he can enter then. Is it connected or not? How to delete that connection again? What happens if you deploy an existing SSID, so an existing Wi-Fi connection to the endpoint? Is that in conflicting with the local setting that the user is making? That's one thing. And I will come back to that first thing in a couple of seconds.
Okay.
Then, thinking about the output and input devices, right? So if you go to your Windows or Mac OS, you see your input and output device, you can prioritize whatever you like. If the device is not there, the next one will be picked up from the list. It's not that handy on IGEL OS. So you can do a prioritization from a profile perspective, but why not giving to the end user the ability to configure such kind of things? Because he or she is the best person knowing how to configure it. Well, that's also a thing I will come back in a second. Then coming back to you connect your device to a docking station. Docking station is still a nightmare. So that's the thing we will never cover it to 100%, to be absolutely crystal clear. But still, if you connect a display, the configuration that you made last time should be reloaded and not be reconfigured every time. So coming back now to the main topic, so that's the kind of things we're redesigning. And coming also to our desktop and taskbar, you will find something which is quite similar to Windows partially, where you just have a little bit taskbar, you can open your different functions, and you have a kind of configuration tray where you can do whatever you like as an end user, as soon as your administrator gave you the rights to do so. Even, I mean, it's not a big thing, right? But moving your taskbar from the top, from the bottom to the top of your window, you have to go into the IGEL setup for the moment to do that, which is not available to an end user.
Right.
Well, now you can just drag and drop.
Just an aside.
Small things.
Yeah, so it sounds like for the two bullet points we've talked about so far, it's all about end user experience within IGEL OS. We're not even talking about like the Citrix or the VMwares of the world at the moment. This is strictly IGEL, which is super encouraging. Just on a personal note, if you drag your start bar or your start button or taskbar to the side, you have problems. I don't know why people do that. leave it where God intended, right at the bottom.
I must say, I never changed it. Besides some server where I have a GUI where I moved it because I need it together with other toolbars. But to be honest, oh, by the way, if you're using Ubuntu, like an example, the taskbar is always on the left. Don't ask me why, but it's definitely on the left every time. I'm leaving it like it is if I'm using Ubuntu, but that's the only operating system I could think of where the taskbar is on the left hand.
You're right. I've never thought of that before.
Yeah, but good find. Yeah, you're right. I mean, just thinking out loud, it's the only operating system which is on the left hand. For all the other window managers, mostly on the bottom of your screen, and that's it. I mean, on macOS, you have your dock and then your window, but it's still at the bottom. It's not on the top. Yeah. No, you're right.
So
good discussion for the next podcast.
We've done a bit of a rabbit hole there, but that's okay. So what was next on the agenda? So we talked about the Windows Manager. We talked about the customizations that are available. What else is kind of longer term roadmap stuff that came out of the SNF days? So I will share a discussion that we are having for a long time, but I can tell you that at least the discussion is going forward. That's pretty NDA, so I can just tell you that the topic UMS as a service is a long running topic. Moin here just picked up, by the way. Moin got really interested all of a sudden.
But that's the point where we are getting closer. I'll just give you a teaser because, like I said, it's pretty confidential, but we are definitely investigating that way more than ever before. And investigating is not the real term. We are definitely working on it already. So the idea is really
UMS as a service.
Yeah.
So we can get into the specifics of it. Is the idea that IGEL would host UMS on behalf of customers or have a massive cluster of UMS where it's all cloud hosted?
Well, that could be the second approach. The first approach is to give extremely high technical skilled people like you from XenTegra the ability to host a UMS for other customers, and for the first time have the ability to have a proper spoken mandated how do you call it in English? A separated area for every customer.
Teach us in German.
Yeah, it's mandantenfähig.
What does that mean, Sam?
No, your turn. So you can have different customers in one database, but they are absolutely separate from each other, and there is no way to read the data from the other customer.
Multi-tenancy.
Even if you access the data. Thank you very much. Multi-tenancy. Sounds even better in English.
Now we're even.
Thank you very much, Barry. I was searching for the term. So yeah, it's mandantenfähig. You don't have to remember that one. It's a tough one.
So it won't be on the test. Okay, good.
No, but that's definitely one thing. Even if you think about how the UMS is behaving, the host name, etc. For the moment, you don't have the ability to make different host name for different customers. If you create configurations, you have to separate them by access list, but still, it's not a proper multi-tenancy feature that you have there. And that's the kind of stuff we are wanting, but we need to cover also from a GDPR, from a legal perspective, to have properly spoken silos for every customer. And that's something that we're working on.
So this is something that, just to add to that, this thing has been going on for last year or so. Now, UMS 11 was not a multi-tenant product. It was not designed to run in cloud. Something that we were working around by just creating an ARM template in Azure, getting all the deployment done, and then making it available to our customers. So at this time, in phase one of UMS as a service, there are a handful of partners that has been selected. So there are 4 partners, all 4. So if there is anyone in Europe, but based on our discussion with Phil, I believe there are 4 partners. The 3 in US, and the 4th one is global, that is XenTegra. Because of our presence in US, Canada, India, other places, we are considered as a global partner who can provide UMS as a service. We are already working with our customer number 1 in India, who has presence in US, but the support team all sits in India. So that is our first UMS as a service customers that we are working on. So this is something that I'm really excited to see how it works out. So one thing that part of this phase one, this may change as we go along and get more multi-tenant product. But for now, customers can bring their own license, or we can provide them license. This can be hosted in our environment that we can manage it for them, or it can be in their environment that we will manage for them. So we have tons of flexibility at this time. And that's the good thing that I like, that at least they have option. They are not forced on with the GDPR and other compliance requirement that is there for data. Now they can pick and choose more a la carte, still get the same end goal of UMS as a service.
And just, I guess, a follow-up question for you, Seb, directly on that is with of OS 12 and UMS 12, I'm guessing some of the plumbing to enable the multi-tenancy is being worked on in the background with the whole push to UMS web app versus Java UMS, for lack of a better word. Can you or deny?
No, it is. We have, I would say, the biggest redesign of our products since at least maybe 6 to 10 years. Even the IGEL OS operating system was redesigned completely. So we changed our complete mindset. The main topic was also happening in the back in the back system, which is related to how to handle our UMS updates, also how to handle our licensing deployment, how to use our IGEL licensing portal, and all that stuff, which is at the moment not pretty multi-tenancy compatible. And that's where we put a lot of brain work together, listen to our partners, XenTegra, just to name one, to listen how we can make that happening better. Because if you think back at the time where we sent out leak files to you as a partner, and then you had to retell that to an end customer, and now that you're just ordering a license and you can choose where you want to use that license, you can decommission it as soon as you need, and you can really make a kind of pay-per-use process inside of the IGEL UMS 12 in the near future. That's what we are definitely looking for.
Right, and just on the license mobility piece, that like when I was on the customer side, that was one of the key features that sold me on IGEL to begin with. You know, I didn't have a ton of interest in purchasing IGEL hardware because I had an existing fleet of Windows 7. But I knew they were all going to start breaking and dying, so I could buy a license for a piece of hardware. That hardware dies. The license is mobile, move it to the next box, and away I go. So from a financial perspective, it made tons of sense. But again, that's neither here nor there for this conversation. So we're kind of running a little low on time, Seb. Perhaps you can give us, one more bullet point that we can dive into, and I have a couple of small things I'd like to kind of discuss to kind of wrap things out, if that's okay with you.
Oh, definitely. I will just take over another short information regarding a side project that we have in OS 12 and UMS 12. It's to redesign our knowledge base. Because I know that a lot of you listeners, and I'm one of the biggest customer of the knowledge base, because but also people like Ron, like David, like Milan, are sending out knowledge base articles every day. And I know that we have a big pain point, which is called the search function. And it hurts me personally a lot if someone is telling me that it's easier to find a KB article by using the Google search than or a knowledge base search. It's hurting a lot, but I must agree, and I have the same feeling. And that's something which is not acceptable, to be honest. If you have a knowledge base and you cannot search for the corresponding items, it's not a good knowledge base. So even if the content might be great, the search has to function too. So just telling you that we moved the knowledge base now to the community hood. So we have now direct access to the knowledge base team, and we are looking into different solutions. But I can give you already teaser that we will have maybe a complete redesign and maybe a tool change in terms of how to implement our knowledge base. Stay tuned on that, but we definitely listened to your feedback, guys, and I agree we have to work on that project as soon as possible. So there will be a huge change in the next months.
Oh, that's coming relatively quickly, because it's interesting. Just this morning before we started this podcast, I was doing some research for a customer, and I was searching HA configuration using MS SQL. And of course, the first hit I found in Google was a link to the knowledge base, but it was for version 10. And I was like, oh no. So yeah, it's great to hear that some work going on that front. Just to kind of round things out and wrap this podcast up for another couple of weeks, a couple of questions from the community that I've kind of pulled together. And they should be relatively, I shouldn't say that, I hope they're easy for you to answer. A number of questions and comments from the community is, right now there's no direct upgrade path from 11 to 12. I know it's, I hear it's a work in progress. Without kind of holding your feet to the fire, is that a this year thing, or is that a next year thing where that's going to be productized?
The Zoom connection is getting pretty poor. I can't hear you anymore. No, just kidding. So yeah, don't get it as an answer that is 100% bulletproof, but we expect it to have in Q3. So this year, definitely. And the plan is roughly the third quarter of 2023. Again, things might change,
sure,
but that's a rough plan.
That's good. All we need is a ballpark. We all understand development cycles. They sometimes are super successful and sometimes they're not. So I think you say Q3, I say Q4. So how about that?
That's absolutely fine. I mean, if you think back about the Agile history for just for a second, and if you remember OS 5 to OS 10, OS 10 to OS 11, we never, we did, but it never worked pretty well, broad migration path from the beginning on. And if we did, it wasn't quite successful. So in that case, my personal hope, and that's what I heard also from our dev guys, that prefer to work a little bit longer on that feature and have it bulletproof rather than having a feature which is more or less implemented and you have then issues by updating the device. Because to that time where we had OS 5 and OS 10, ICG was not a big thing. Now we have ICG. So what do you do with the device which is at home at an end user and the device gets broken because the upgrade path is broken for whatever reason? That's a huge pain. So not in my wish, but my hope is that we'll make it such bulletproof that you can rely on it forever.
Got it. Okay. Final question. I hope is an easy one for you. Also, is there's some confusion in the community from believe it or not, still some folks running OS 10 and the upgrade path to Cosmos. Does it exist, or is it upgrade in terms of licensing specifically, not the technology? We've already spoken about that.
So to be absolutely clear, if you think about how OS 11 and how OS 12 are working, the license is basically exactly the same. So even if, and I know we have a community NFR inside of our NFR channel and the Agile community, the license itself, it's an 11 Workspace Edition license. So there is no specific Agile OS 12 license as we had in the past with OS 5 or OS 10 or OS 11. So depending on where you are at the moment from your licensing, migration from the license was never as easy as we have at the moment. So it's really just, if you have a valid Workspace Edition, you can migrate to OS 12, depending on if you're using EMP and so on, but that's usually an easy one.
So long story short, if you have an active license under maintenance, you're eligible for 12 or Cosmos /12.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Easy peasy. Okay. Well, I think we'll call that an episode today. But I do want to have something I kind of want to bring up as that I listen to a lot of podcasts, not all tech related, some are kind of foolish, some are kind of funny, but they all have cool intro music or outro music and we don't. So, we've been doing this for 78 episodes. Yeah. So it's time to get some intro music. So what I want to put it out to the community and the folks who are listening to this, use some kind of AI tool like a ChatGPT or, whatever other audio platforms are out there to generate, IGEL weekly intro music. Submit it to us either in the community or you can email it directly to me, barry.brown@XenTegra.com, as a WAV file, MP3 file. And we'll pick a winner and that'll become our intro music. And, we'll give out a prize. Moin has about a box of t-shirts here. We'll send you guys some swag. And for our winner who gets us the coolest intro music that kind of reflects, end user computing, IGEL, and we'll go from there.
I will even add Amazon gift card.
There we go.
If you like it, and if you want to keep using it, I'll throw in Amazon gift card there as well.
All right. So t-shirts, swag, gift cards. Let's do it, community.
IGEL employees are eligible to that contest too, or?
I'm sorry?
Sounds interesting. Are IGEL employees also eligible to that contest, or are we excluded?
Everyone,
because it sounds good.
Let the best man win, as they say. Best man with best woman, best AI.
Let's make an announcement in the Agile community, by the way, Barry. I would like to see that contest happening in the Agile community too. So yeah, good one.
Absolutely, let's do it. Yeah, let's get some excitement built around it, because I was listening to one of our. I hate listening to myself, so I was listening to some older episodes when Andy ran the community podcast, and it just starts, and I love to kind of be massaged into a podcast, you know.
Agreed.
So let's get that going. With that being said, Indrajeet, thank you for joining us all the way from sunny India. Moin, thanks for letting me crash in your office.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for running this and hosting this. I think this is a valuable contribution to the community.
I agree. All right, Seb, thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Barry. Thanks, Moin. Thanks, Indrajeet, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Interesting, Ron.